If I were to ask you, do you consider yourself to be self-aware? What would you say? Because I'd imagine for a lot of people the default answer to that question would be yes. After all, you are you. You live with your thoughts all day. Who knows you better than yourself, right? Well, a study by an organizational psychologist named Tasha Eurich showed 90% of the 5,000 people she asked that question to believed they were self-aware, but upon further inquiry, only 12 to 15% truly were. In her words, that means on a good day, about 80% of people are lying about themselves to themselves. Now, whether you believe that or not, at the surface level, the question seems reasonably straightforward. But if you consider it a bit longer and go under the surface and dig a little deeper, it really can open up a rabbit hole of avenues of thought to venture down. So today I'm going to endeavor to delve a little deeper into the topic of self-awareness. Because the term self-awareness is a bit of a buzzword these days. And while there doesn't seem to be one singular official definition, you'll find it described as the ability to recognize and understand your own thoughts, feelings, emotions, strengths, and weaknesses, as well as the conscious knowledge of your own character, feelings, desires, and motivations, and even the ability to tune in to your own feelings, thoughts, and actions. The benefits of being highly self-aware suggest being able to objectively evaluate yourself, manage your emotions, align your behavior with your values, and understand correctly how others perceive you. And that self-awareness is a fundamental tool for self-control. When people are highly self-aware, they understand their strengths and challenges and know what helps them thrive. They also understand that how they see themselves may be different from how others see them. Self-awareness is considered a key competency or even the foundation of emotional intelligence. We often hear self-awareness talked about like it's a personality trait, and some theorists break it down into two parts. The first being internal self-awareness, which refers to understanding your emotions, values, triggers, strengths, and blind spots. And the second part being external self-awareness, which refers to the ability to understand how your behavior and emotions are perceived by others. Basically understanding how other people see you. The study I mentioned earlier suggests that most of us assume we know ourselves, and that we also assume others see us the way we want to be seen. So, why are so few people truly self-aware? Are the majority of us really lying to ourselves about ourselves? Because this begs the question, who is the self we're being asked to be aware of? You may or may not have heard of the Japanese saying about each of us having three faces. The first face is the one you show the world, the polished, public version of you that shows up at work. It could be the version of you that you post on social media. Basically, the positive, educated, respectable public image of you that fits society's expectations. The second face is the one you show to close friends or family. This face is more relaxed, more real than the public image, a safer space in which you expect people to accept you for who you truly are, but perhaps still a little wary of sharing your entire wardrobe of secrets for fear of judgment. So it's still a face with some boundaries, and it's still moderated. But because people change and grow through different periods of their lives, this is probably the face that can change the most. The third face is the face you never show anyone, your truest self, who you really are without the judgments of the world. the deepest you. The you behind the masks, the unfiltered self. The place you worry people would think you're a psycho if they could see into. Some may never get to the point where they see this face, and sometimes those that see it are scared of what it actually looks like. So for many of us, that third face remains permanently hidden. Another way of describing those first and second faces from the Japanese saying is the concept of the persona, put forward by the Swiss psychologist Carl Jung. As he described it, the persona is the social mask we wear to fit into society, shaped by family, culture, expectations, and norms, the polished version of ourselves we present to the world. It's not inherently bad or fake, but it is incomplete. We need our persona to function in life, to communicate, to play our roles, whether it's the responsible one, the strong one, the helpful one, the funny one, the high achiever, the agreeable one, or the one who always keeps the peace. But problems begin when we mistake the persona for the whole truth, when we become comfortable in the mask, and it starts to shape our behavior around how we want to be seen. When we lose touch with the parts of ourselves we had to hide to keep the mask in place. That's when things can start to feel uneasy, start feeling like you're performing life instead of living it. That something inside you is unrecognized, that the person people think you are doesn't actually match the person you feel like inside. Because as we all know, we're all multi-layered, complex human beings with quite often multiple personalities depending on various factors like the time of day, our state of health, and so on. The fact is, our brains love the default autopilot setting. We prefer efficiency over truth. Our egos protect us from anything that threatens our self-image. We cling to old stories about who we are, even when they don't fit anymore. We avoid the feelings that don't match the identity we want to present to the world. We choose comfort over the truth, so as not to disturb our persona. In time, though, living as a persona can breed emptiness, because the person behind the mask stays unseen, even to ourselves. We can feel like we're missing something, even when things on the surface seem fine. Maybe you have the successful job, marriage, kids, hobbies, and still, somewhere inside, there's a sense that something's off. And that's where we come back to the third face in the Japanese saying, or what Carl Jung called the shadow, the part of ourselves we hide, deny, or push away, the traits we judge, the emotions we suppress, the impulses we don't want to admit we have. The shadow could also include parts of our character we used to have but had to store them away, like the sense of being carefree that you had when you were younger, but as your responsibilities increased, societal expectation determined that you had to lock that characteristic in a box and compartmentalize it in the dark room that is the shadow. But it can also hold strengths we've buried because they didn't feel acceptable, like our creative, artistic side. Importantly, the shadow isn't evil or inherently bad. It's just a part of us that's disowned. But as Jung points out, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you'll call it fate. He believed that the more we suppress and deny our shadow, the more it'll show up in ways we don't always recognize, such as moments when we overact emotionally and afterwards think, that wasn't me, or snapping at someone you care about, or feeling jealous but pretending you're not. When you deny the shadow, it doesn't disappear. It leaks out in unintended reactions, bitterness, envy, anxiety, or self-sabotage. The shadow is the answer to the question, why did I say that? Or what just came over me? Jung said the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. Because to fully know ourselves, we have to be willing to get uncomfortable and see the parts of ourselves we've spent years avoiding. We have to embrace our shadow. But that doesn't mean reliving old trauma or past shame. It's about recognizing that you can't be fully self-aware if you only accept the pleasant parts of yourself. Jung believed that when we acknowledge and shine a light on our shadow, it loses its grip on our lives. So how do we begin the work to integrate with our shadow in a healthy way? Well, we can start by noticing who and what triggers us. Noticing the people we can't stand often reflects something unacknowledged in ourselves. Jung claimed that the personality traits we despise in other people, maybe your boss's arrogance or dismissiveness, are actually what we hate about ourselves. He called that projection. We can also pay attention to our overly emotional reactions and ask, what is this showing me? We can allow uncomfortable feelings, but not act them out or push them away. Admit when you're envious, but don't criticize yourself for it. Be honest when you feel insecure, but remind yourself not to feel ashamed about it. The key is treating the shadow with curiosity instead of judgment, because doing this can help us to stop feeling conflicted and at war with ourselves. The truth is, we don't become whole by denying our darkness. We become whole by bringing it into the light. Aristotle said, knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. And while knowing yourself sounds simple, it's probably the hardest and most important work any of us will ever do, because knowing yourself isn't just about thinking deeply or being introspective. It's about looking in a mirror and seeing the truth of who you are, even the parts that feel uncomfortable. The world around us can only be understood through the world within us, and the world within us can only be understood if we're willing to look at it honestly. So when we talk about self-awareness, it isn't just a self-help fad or a destination to get to. It really is a lifelong practice and a way of living. Some days we might see clearly, and other days we might fall back into old patterns. We're human. The goal isn't to become perfect. The goal is to understand ourselves more deeply so we can live more freely. When we stop trying to be who we think we should be, take off our masks and stop hiding from ourselves, we can start becoming who we truly are and know ourselves fully, honestly, and compassionately. And truth be told, I don't claim to have any of this figured out. I'm just walking the path, seeking my truth. But I imagine if you've watched the video to this point, you probably are too. So I'll finish here for today. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. As usual, feel free to share the video, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you again soon.